The war room of the Imperial Fleet Command was never silent. Screens glowed, star maps shifted, and officers spoke in hurried tones. Yet on that night, the vast chamber fell into a heavy silence. Admiral Koresh stood frozen at the center, his eyes locked on the tactical display. The scanners showed something that should not exist. A ship. It was moving slowly, drifting at the edge of the system, but the readings were undeniable. The hull design, the energy signature, the structure, it matched no known Empire vessel, no known ally, no known enemy. Koresh clenched his jaw. "Run it again," he ordered. His voice came out sharper than he intended. The technicians exchanged uneasy looks. "Admiral, we've already run it 6 times. The readings are the same." The Admiral turned, his cloak brushing against the polished floor. "And what exactly are those readings telling me?" The chief technician swallowed hard. "Sir, the ship's design is ancient, very ancient, pre-Empire perhaps. And the signal pattern, it matches a species file thought extinct." The word hung in the air like poison. Koresh narrowed his eyes. "Say it!" The technician hesitated, then whispered. "Human." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Officers looked at one another in disbelief, some scoffing, others paling. Koresh slammed his fist onto the console. "Impossible. Humanity was erased centuries ago. Every record states it. Every history book confirms it. Humans are gone!" Yet the scanner did not lie. The ship was there, moving slowly but deliberately, its engines burning with a strange light. Word traveled fast. Within hours, the palace halls buzzed with whispers. The Emperor had not been told yet, but lower officers already gossiped in fear. Human. That's madness. They burned themselves out in wars long ago. Maybe it's a trick. Pirates with stolen designs. But beneath the nervous laughter, there was unease. Even the mention of humans carried a shadow. For generations, the Empire had told its people that humans were reckless, brutal, and self-destructive. They were gone, and the galaxy was better for it. That was the story. That was the law, but what if the story was wrong? Hours later, Koresh stood again before the star map. The strange ship had moved closer. Slowly, carefully, as if it wanted to be seen. "Admiral," said the comms officer, "we're receiving something. A signal." Koresh's eyes narrowed. "From the ship?" "Yes, sir." The officers leaned closer as static filled the chamber. At first it was only noise, but then words. Broken, distorted, but recognizable. "This is human vessel. Returning." The room froze. Even the air seemed to stop. A voice. Old, cold, and unmistakably human. Koresh's face drained of color. He gripped the console with both hands, his knuckles turning white. "That can't be," whispered one officer. "They're all dead." But the signal repeated, stronger now, as if the ship wanted the Empire to hear it. "We are returning." That night, the High Council gathered in secrecy. The chamber doors sealed, and guards were posted outside. Noble lords sat around the great table, their jeweled robes glittering under the dim lights. Admirals and scientists stood behind them, silent and tense. Lord Veyron, a thin man with a sharp voice, slammed his hand down. "This is a trick. Some pirate lord found ancient wreckage and is playing games." Others shook their heads. No pirate could fake that signal. Human technology was unique. The archives prove it. If it is true, if they have returned. The chamber filled with rising voices. Fear crept into their words. Finally, Lord Veyron shouted over them all. "Even if it is human, what does it matter? They are one ship, one relic. The Empire commands thousands." Admiral Koresh spoke at last, his voice grim. "With respect, my lord, one ship should not be ignored, especially not a human ship." The council fell quiet. They all knew the stories. Stories of human wars. Stories of empires burned to ash. The Emperor's statue loomed over them, carved from black stone, its cold eyes staring down. It seemed almost to watch the council struggle with fear. After the council, Koresh returned to his quarters. He could not rest. The word human echoed in his mind. He remembered the stories from his childhood, whispered tales the Empire tried to erase. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and terrifying in war. They fought with a fury no other species understood. Extinct. Koresh whispered to himself, staring at the stars through the viewport. You were supposed to be extinct. Yet the scanners did not lie. By the next day, rumors had spread beyond the palace. On the streets of the capital, citizens whispered to one another, I heard a human ship is out there. That's impossible. They were wiped out. My grandfather once told me, humans don't die easy. Markets grew quieter. People looked at the skies longer. Even the lower fleets whispered in secret. The Empire tried to crush the rumors with propaganda. Broadcasters declared loudly, there is no human ship. The Empire is strong. Fear not the lies of the weak. But the more they denied it, the more people believed it was true. 3 days later, the ship moved again. Not fleeing, not hiding. It was heading directly toward an Imperial relay station on the edge of the system. Koresh ordered patrol fleets to intercept. But something gnawed at him. The ship moved too confidently. Its course was deliberate, as if it had no fear of the Empire's power, as if it remembered something the Empire had forgotten. In a quiet chamber, 2 scientists argued over the data. It's impossible, said the first. No species can hide this long. Not humans. The second leaned closer to the screen, eyes wide. But the readings are clear. The power signatures, the design, it's them. They never died. They waited. The first scientist swallowed, his throat dry. If that's true, then the Empire is not ready. The second looked at him, her voice a whisper. No one ever is, not against humans. On the 7th day, the ship finally reached the edge of the relay station's sensors. Alarms rang across the fleet. In the war room, Koresh watched as the massive image of the unknown ship appeared on the main display for the first time in clear detail. The design was brutal, simple, angular. It carried no decoration, no Empire elegance. It was a weapon, nothing more. And on its side, scorched by age but still visible, were letters. Imperial translators worked frantically, their faces pale. Finally, the words appeared on the screen. UNS Nemesis. The chamber went dead silent. A name, a human name. Koresh's heart pounded in his chest. His voice trembled for the first time in years. That can't be a human warship, can it? No one answered, because deep down they already knew. The Empire had always feared this day, and now it had come. The palace was not built for silence, yet silence spread through its endless halls like a sickness. Guards shifted nervously at their posts, servants hurried with lowered eyes, and noble voices whispered behind closed doors. Everyone had heard. The rumor traveled faster than any courier ship. A vessel had appeared at the edge of the Empire. Its signals matched no known fleet. Its design was too old, too alien, yet strangely familiar. The whispers all carried the same word. Human. For centuries, the Empire had painted humans as reckless creatures of the past. They had fought endless wars, destroyed entire worlds, and finally burned themselves out. Extinct. That was the official story. The galaxy had been told again and again that humanity was gone, and the galaxy was safer for it. But now, with one impossible signal, that story was falling apart. Inside a quiet chamber deep in the capital, noble families gathered in secret. Their faces were pale, their voices sharp. Old records had been pulled from vaults sealed for generations. Holograms flickered with grainy images of ancient wars. Human ships unleashing firestorms. Human soldiers tearing through stronger foes with impossible fury. This cannot be true, Lord Varen spat, his jeweled fingers trembling as he pointed at the display. These stories are myths. Human savagery was exaggerated to keep the lesser species obedient. An old scholar, grey-skinned and hunched, shook his head slowly. No, my lord. The archives do not lie. I studied them before the Emperor ordered them destroyed. The humans were real, and if one ship has returned, he let the thought hang. No one wanted to speak it aloud. Some nobles scoffed, trying to laugh away their unease. One ship cannot bring down the Empire, said Lady Serath, though her eyes betrayed her fear. We command fleets beyond number. Our weapons can crack worlds. Why should we tremble at shadows? But others remembered the forbidden tales. They remembered how humans fought like no other species, how they turned weakness into strength, how they refused to surrender even when empires crushed them. A nervous voice broke through. What if they never truly died? What if they have been waiting, hidden, watching? The chamber filled with silence again. Every noble felt the same chill. If humans had survived, then the foundation of the empire was built on a lie. Beyond the palace, the streets of the capital were restless. Merchants whispered to customers, soldiers whispered to one another, families whispered in their homes. The same question spread like fire. Could it be true? Could humans still walk among the stars? The imperial propaganda machines screamed louder than ever. Screens blared, the empire is strong. The rumors are lies. Humanity is extinct. Yet the more they denied it, the more the people believed it was true. Denial only proved the fear was real. In the fleet barracks, young officers spoke in hushed tones. "If it's human, we don't stand a chance," one said. Another shook his head, trying to laugh but failing. That was 1,000 years ago. Times have changed. Yet his hands trembled as he spoke. The emperor himself had not yet spoken on the matter, but his silence only deepened the fear. For if the emperor doubted, then surely the danger was real. Meanwhile, the ship continued its slow path through the system, as if mocking the panic it created. It did not hide. It did not flee. It wanted to be seen. And deep within the hidden vaults of the capital, historians dared to unseal old files once more. They read the words written by trembling hands centuries ago. Descriptions of battles too brutal to believe. Accounts of human fleets annihilating enemies many times their size. Records of worlds that burned for daring to stand against Earth. The words repeated again and again. Humanity was not like other species. They did not fight to survive. They fought to win. Across the empire, fear grew with every whisper. If humans had returned, the galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere out there, beyond the reach of imperial lies, a single ship moved closer. Its engines burned with steady light. Its voice echoed across the stars. "We are returning." The night sky above the imperial capital burned with the glow of 1,000 orbital lights. Traders moved through the ports, warships patrolled the edges of space, and citizens went about their lives under the illusion of control. But that illusion shattered when every screen in the empire flickered at once. At first, it was static, an ugly hiss of broken sound, white noise spilling into homes, markets, and military stations. People stopped what they were doing, staring in confusion. Then the static twisted into words, a voice, old cold human. "This is human vessel. Returning," shouts rang out in the streets. In the military command centers, officers froze at their stations. On distant mining colonies, workers dropped their tools. The voice was distorted, as if carried across centuries. But it was unmistakably human. The message repeated, "Clearer now! We are returning!" Panic spread faster than fire. Inside the Grand Palace, the council chamber shook with outrage and fear. Noble houses filled the air with their voices, each one trying to be louder than the next. "This is a trick, a broadcast meant to frighten us." "No, that was a human voice." "I've heard the archives. I know the sound." Admiral Koresh stood silent at the center of the chamber. His face was pale, his eyes fixed on the ground. He had commanded fleets for decades, fought enemies across the galaxy, but this moment chilled him deeper than any battle. He knew, as every officer knew, that no other species in history had spoken like that. The Emperor finally rose from his throne, his golden robes heavy with jewels. His voice cut through the chaos. "Humans are extinct. That is what we have told the galaxy. That is what we know," but the broadcast did not stop. It came again and again, filling every device, every channel, even those sealed by imperial security. The human voice did not ask for permission. It did not negotiate. It simply declared its presence. "We are returning." On the streets, citizens screamed and fled from glowing screens. Families locked their doors. Some wept openly. Old men whispered ancient warnings to the young, stories of the human wars, stories the Empire had buried but never erased completely. The military reacted with desperation. Fleets scrambled to intercept the source of the signal. Entire squadrons were deployed to the edges of the system. Commanders argued with one another, fear making their words sharp. We must destroy the ship before it reaches a colony. No, we should attempt contact. What if they bring knowledge we can use? Contact with humans. That is suicide. Koresh listened to them, his hands clasped behind his back. His thoughts ran faster than his words. If this truly was a human ship, then nothing they had would be enough. He had studied the old records in secret, studied the strategies humans had used against empires greater than his own. They fought with desperation, they fought with fire, and they won. Across the empire, rebellion stirred in the shadows. On the mining world, slaves whispered to each other that salvation had come. On a border planet, small militias cheered, believing that humans would free them from imperial chains. The Empire's iron grip was loosening, and it was loosening because of a single voice. For 3 long days, the broadcast did not stop. Every hour the words returned, steady and certain. We are returning. By the 4th day, the Emperor could no longer hide his fear. He summoned Koresh to the throne room, the guards lining the walls, more tense than usual. What is this ship? The Emperor demanded, his voice trembling beneath its anger. What is its purpose? Why do they announce themselves instead of hiding? Koresh bowed deeply. Because, Your Majesty. They want us afraid, and they have succeeded. The Emperor slammed his hand on the armrest. Then we will crush them. Send the fleets. Show the galaxy that no ghost of the past can stand against the Empire. Koresh hesitated, then raised his head. With respect, my Emperor. If this is a human ship, one fleet may not be enough. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Are you suggesting we cannot defeat a single vessel? Koresh did not answer, but the silence was enough. Outside, far beyond the capital's shining skies, the mysterious warship drifted steadily closer. Its engines glowed faintly, ancient yet powerful, and as the Empire's might gathered against it, the ship's voice cut across the stars, one last time, sharper than before. We warned you. We are returning. And with that, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The order came at dawn. Every ship in the system was to converge on the anomaly. No excuses, no hesitation. The Empire wanted the mysterious vessels surrounded, crushed, and erased before the rumors spread any further. Admiral Koresh stood on the bridge of the Valiant, his flagship, watching as the armada formed around him. More than 100 Imperial warships slipped into formation, their silver hulls gleaming under the cold starlight. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, an overwhelming force by any measure, and yet the unease would not leave him. The ship they faced was small, ancient, and slow. But it did not hide. It did not flee. It drifted in the void with steady purpose, as though it wanted to be seen. That alone made Koresh's skin crawl. The officers on the bridge whispered nervously, "It looks old, sir. Outdated design? Maybe the stories were wrong. Maybe it really is just a derelict." A derelict doesn't broadcast threats. Koresh silenced them with a sharp glance. His voice was low but firm. "Do not underestimate it. Not if it truly is human." The fleet tightened its net, surrounding the vessel from all sides. Weapons charged. Shields hummed. On every screen, the strange ship appeared, its battered hull covered in scars of age and war, and then they saw it, letters scorched across the side. Half buried in centuries of damage, UNS Nemesis. The name hit Koresh like a blow to the chest. "Open a channel," he ordered. Static filled the bridge. Then the same voice echoed once more, cold and steady. "We are returning." The Emperor's command came instantly across the secure channel. "Destroy it. Leave nothing behind." Koresh hesitated, then gave the order. "Fire!" The void lit up as the armada unleashed its fury. Plasma bolts streaked across the darkness, torpedoes roared forward, railguns fired in synchronized volleys. A storm of destruction raced toward the lone vessel, and then it disappeared, not destroyed, not shattered. "Simply gone. Where is it?" shouted an officer. "Did we hit it?" "Negative, Admiral. Wait." The ship reappeared behind the fleet. No warp signature. No warning. One moment it was gone, the next it was there, its weapons already glowing. The first salvo tore through 5 cruisers in an instant. Shields collapsed like paper. Hulls split apart, venting fire and bodies into space. The screams of dying crews filled the comms before cutting off into silence. Koresh gripped the console, his voice hoarse. "All ships break formation. Engage evasive maneuvers." But the Nemesis moved with impossible precision, weaving through the Imperial fleet like a predator among prey. Its weapons were not fast. They were not flashy. They were perfect. Every shot struck exactly where it would do the most damage. Power cores, engines, command bridges. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. "Admiral, our shields are failing. We can't track its jumps. It's ignoring our sensors. It's tearing through us." Koresh watched in horror as ship after ship was erased from his tactical display. He had commanded wars across a dozen sectors, but never had he seen such slaughter. The Empire's greatest armada was burning. "Fall back," he roared. "All surviving vessels, retreat." But even as the order left his lips, the Nemesis spoke again. Its voice cut through every channel, every frequency, drowning out the chaos of battle. "You should have remembered. We warned you. Humanity does not fall." Koresh's stomach turned to ice. The last thing he saw before his fleet scattered was the Nemesis drifting calmly amid the wreckage. Untouched, its hull glowing in the fires of 100 destroyed Imperial warships, the Empire had sent its might, and in minutes, its might had burned. The throne room was built to intimidate. Its walls were lined with golden banners. Its ceiling soared high above, and the floor was polished to reflect the massive figure of the Emperor upon his throne. Courtiers, generals, and nobles all stood in silence, waiting, afraid. They had reason to be. Word of the disaster had already spread. An entire fleet, one of the strongest in the Empire, had been annihilated in less than an hour. More than 80 ships gone, thousands dead. Survivors spoke in broken voices, whispering of a vessel that appeared and vanished without warning, that struck with perfect accuracy, that carried the name Nemesis, and worse. The rumors had reached the streets. The people were asking questions the Empire never wanted asked. Questions about humans, questions about the old wars, questions about whether the Emperor himself had lied. Now, inside the throne room, those same questions hung heavy in the air. The Emperor's hand gripped the armrest of his throne. His face was pale beneath the jeweled crown, though his voice thundered as he spoke. Lies. All of it. The reports are exaggerated. A handful of captains flee, and suddenly the entire galaxy believes ghosts walk again. But no one answered. No noble dared agree. No general dared to speak. They had all seen the wreckage. They had all heard the broadcast. Finally, Admiral Koresh stepped forward. He bowed low, but his voice was grim. "My Emperor, the fleet is gone. This was no illusion, no pirate trick. The vessel is real. Its design, its weapons, everything points to one conclusion. Humanity lives." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Some nobles muttered prayers, others shook their heads violently as though refusing to hear. The Emperor's face twisted. "Impossible! Humanity was wiped out centuries ago. Every record, every archive says so." One of the scholars, an old man who had been dragged before the throne, trembled as he spoke. "Your Majesty, the archives say what they were ordered to say. Some of us kept fragments of truth." He held up a data crystal, its glow faint but steady. "The DNA recovered from the wreckage of our ships matches ancient human records. There is no doubt. It was them." The Emperor's hand trembled against the throne. For a long moment he said nothing. His eyes darted across the chamber, searching for someone to contradict the words. But none did. The nobles began to murmur, their voices rising with fear. "If humans live, then everything we've been told, they will come for us." The Emperor rose to his feet, his cloak trailing across the marble floor. "Enough!" His voice cracked like thunder. "Do you think I will bow to phantoms? Do you think the Empire will tremble before a single ship? We are stronger than ever. We will crush them as our ancestors did." But the words rang hollow. Everyone in the room could see it. The fear in his eyes, the tightness in his voice. The Emperor did not believe his own words. Koresh saw it too. And in that moment he understood. The Empire was already breaking, not because of battles, not because of fleets lost, but because of fear. The people feared. The nobles feared. And now even the Emperor feared. The old scholar spoke again, his voice little more than a whisper. Majesty, the records say humans do not fight wars to survive. They fight to win. If one ship has returned, then others will follow. The Emperor's face turned ashen. His hand dropped to his side, trembling. The throne room was silent. Everyone knew the truth, though none dared speak it aloud. For centuries, the Empire had ruled through fear. But now fear had turned against it. The humans had returned, and fear itself now sat on the throne. The world was dark and quiet, hidden in the folds of an uncharted system. It had no name on any imperial chart, no beacon, no trade routes passing nearby. To the galaxy, it was nothing more than a dead rock orbiting a faint star. But beneath its mountains, behind layers of shielding and deception, a secret lived. The shuttle touched down with a low hiss, kicking up dust. Admiral Koresh stepped out, his boots pressing into the soil of a planet no Imperial had set foot on before. The coordinates had been given to him by the old scholar who had dared to speak the truth in the throne room. Koresh had thought it a trap at first. Now, staring at the jagged cliffs and camouflage structures rising between them, he was no longer so sure. A voice echoed across the landing site. You came. Figures appeared from the shadows. Their clothes were plain, worn by years of hard living, but their eyes burned with intensity. Koresh froze. Their features, too sharp, too familiar, did not belong to any known imperial species. His heart quickened. Humans, not myths, not whispers. Living, breathing humans. The leader stepped forward. She was tall, scarred, her hair streaked with grey. Yet her voice carried strength. You are not followed. Koresh shook his head. I'd been made certain. But this is impossible. Humanity was supposed to be extinct. The woman's lips curved into something that was not quite a smile. That's what your empire wanted everyone to believe. They tried. They hunted us. They burned worlds. But we endured. We hid. She gestured to the cliffs. Massive doors opened with a deep rumble, revealing tunnels lit with pale light. Inside were machines, workshops, farms, and hangars where ships rested in silence. Not crude or forgotten, but advanced, efficient, alive. Koresh stared in awe. You've been building? For centuries, she replied. Waiting, watching, preparing for the day we would be found again. Preparing for the day the galaxy would need us. The words sent a chill through him. He remembered the terror in the throne room, the whispers of panic. If the Emperor knew this place existed, the Empire would send everything it had to erase it. Koresh swallowed. Why now? Why reveal yourselves? The woman's expression hardened. Because one of our ships has already acted. Nemesis was never meant to strike so soon, but it saw your fleets gathering. It saw your Emperor preparing. And so it reminded the stars that humanity is not gone. Her gaze locked with his. And now, Admiral, you must choose. You've seen the truth. Will you carry it back to your Emperor, or will you carry it forward to the future? Koresh stood in silence, his thoughts torn. Loyalty to the Empire had guided his every step, every order. But the Empire was breaking under its own fear. And here, in this hidden colony, was something different. Something dangerous, yes, but also something alive. The sound of children's laughter drifted from deep within the tunnels. Koresh turned his head and saw them, human children running between machines, their eyes bright with curiosity. Not warriors, not threats, just life. In that moment he understood. The humans were not merely surviving, they were returning, and the galaxy was not ready. The city of Vera was supposed to be untouchable. Its towers stretched into the clouds, wrapped in shields stronger than any fortress, guarded by fleets that hovered like hawks above the skies. It was the jewel of the Empire, the Emperor's pride, the symbol of power whispered about in every distant star system. And then, in a single night, it burned. The people of Vera had gathered on the high terraces to watch the sky. They were told it was a drill, that the flickering lights above were simply routine maneuvers. But when the first flash tore across the heavens, brighter than a dozen suns, they knew the truth. It was not a drill, it was war. A single black shape drifted into view, larger than any vessel the citizens had ever seen. Its surface seemed to swallow the light. Its weapons glowed with deadly fire. The Nemesis, the ship the Empire had sworn could not exist. The ship that whispered of humanity. Imperial ships rose to meet it. Dozens of them. Cruisers, destroyers, even dreadnoughts. Their formation was perfect, their numbers overwhelming. Every citizen who looked up believed victory was certain. How could one ship defeat so many? But the Nemesis did not fight like an Imperial vessel. It moved with impossible precision, weaving through enemy fire as though it knew every shot before it was fired. Its cannons thundered once, twice. Ships broke apart. Entire crews silenced in seconds. Torpedoes streaked out, cutting through shields as though they were paper. The citizens screamed as burning wrecks fell from the sky. In the throne room, word of the battle reached the Emperor within minutes. His generals tried to reassure him, their voices trembling. Our fleet is holding. Reinforcements are on the way. But the Emperor could see the truth on their faces. Fear, panic, and beneath it, the quiet admission that no amount of reinforcements would change what was happening above Vera. By the time dawn came, the jewel of the Empire was in ruins. The sky was filled with smoke and drifting wreckage. The fleet that was meant to be untouchable was shattered, and the citizens of Vera whispered a name in terror. Humans. For centuries, the Empire had ruled through arrogance, declaring itself unchallenged, unstoppable. It told the galaxy that humans were extinct, that the past was buried, that no force could rival Imperial might. But now, all of that had fallen in a single night. The galaxy would never forget the lesson. Arrogance had burned, and the humans had lit the fire. The galaxy held its breath. For weeks, the Empire had denied, silenced, and raged. For weeks, it called the Nemesis a phantom, a trick, a fabrication of rebels and liars. But the wreckage of Vera's fleets drifted in the void, undeniable. Entire systems whispered now, not in secret but in open defiance. The question spread faster than any fleet could fly. If humanity lived, what did they want? The Emperor sat upon his throne, eyes hollow, rage simmering beneath his skin. Reports poured in, riots in the core worlds, defections among the outer colonies, and worst of all, messages intercepted from unknown frequencies. Messages that carried a voice the Empire could not trace. That voice spoke once more, across every channel, on every world. Screens went black. Static hummed. Then an image appeared. A human stood there, not cloaked in shadow this time, but clear, undeniable. His eyes were steady, his voice calm, but every word struck like thunder. You told the galaxy we were gone. You told them humanity was extinct. You told them lies. The silence on every imperial world was absolute. Citizens, soldiers, nobles, all leaned forward, trembling, waiting. We are not gone. We are not forgotten. We are not finished. The man's gaze seemed to pierce through the screen, through walls, through fear itself. You built your empire on ashes. You crushed worlds. You silenced truth. You believed the stars were yours to rule. But you forgot what came before you. You forgot us. He paused, and in the stillness, even the Emperor gripped the throne tighter, his breath uneven. You ask what we want. The human's voice lowered, calm as a blade sliding free of its sheath. We want nothing. We did not come to conquer. We did not come to enslave. We came to remind you. We came to answer. The image shifted. Behind the speaker, a fleet shimmered into view. Dozens, no hundreds of human ships. Not myths, not rumors. A force that blotted out the stars. This is our answer. We live. And the galaxy will never again forget humanity. The broadcast ended, but the silence did not last. On every world, voices rose, some in awe, some in fear, some in hope. The Empire's grip cracked, and in the throne room, The Emperor finally sank back into his chair, his face pale, his crown heavy. He understood then what no denial could change. The humans had returned, and the galaxy had just heard their answer.